Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Author's Quill. I hope everyone's having a great Saturday or Sunday, because some of y'all are a little bit ahead of us in time. I got some friends over there in Australia and the wee hours in the morning. So, I hope all y'all having a really good morning, especially if you've been up all night on Saturday night. Big plus. For everybody else over here in the United States, I hope your afternoon and evening's going well. All my friends out in all my friends out in New York actually are getting ready to go sit down and enjoy a late August sunset. See how it goes for them. Shit in Cali, it's just afternoon, man. They're barely past lunch out there. They're what are they, like 2 hours? It's what 2 o'clock out there, huh? So anyway, I hope everybody's having a good time. We have Lance Robinson with us tonight, and Lance has been on with us before. He's an interesting individual, just say that. In a few minutes, I'll let him actually come up here and talk and tell us a little bit about himself. John, what are you doing? Wait, I thought when you're in Tampa next week.
Yeah, next week I'll be in Tampa. Or actually, I go. I guess it's next week, and then the week after that, we're going to meet up in Atlanta.
I know it's like time is zinging along.
Indeed, it is. Like, yeah, so I head out for Tampa on the 21st.
Yeah, because but I was talking with Carmen the other day. I said something. He said no. I said when? I said when's? I said I think it's next week, right? He's like, yeah, I think so. Because we were actually talking about this week is what we were talking about. But ladies and gentlemen, if y'all want to catch John over there in TampaCon, stop by and visit him. He'll be out there and just getting in trouble like he always does, harassing people, poking people, stuff like that. He's strange, tricky stuff. I was going to give him a lightsaber for Christmas, but I think I'm scared he might bring it to these cons. Ha! Buy a book. Oh man, what's that, Christopher? No, actually, no. John's a very nice guy. He puts up with a lot of crap from. He is a very nice guy. If you're in Tampa, where y'all going to be? What part of the place y'all going to be?
Tampa Convention Center is where we are.
So you can't miss them. They always got like a double wide booth. It's really nice. It's a red booth.
Red.
Yeah.
Bright
red. Just look for Writers of the Future, L. Ron Hubbard. You'll see him in there. Don't get close unless you want to buy a book. And look, they got some really cool paintings in there. I'm just warning y'all and just beware of these paintings. They're very allurative. I said that wrong, but still, y'all know what I meant. But really, truly, guys, they're really a nice crowd. You should stop by and say hi and really buy a book. It just helps out the Writers of the Futures gang to put on a good gala every year. So, anytime you're buying a book from them, you're actually helping pay back to everybody else who's out there trying to get ahead, get into the fields. Yes, it's like a big happy family. Well, we'll ask Lance. Lance, how are you, man? How you been? Life's treating you okay? Oh, we lost you. Poor Lance.
And then Amir's going to be with us all in the second hour. He just finished the book signing, so he's all excited to talk.
Oh, cool. That's even more fun. It's
all right.
There we go. We got you back. Yeah, we back. Yeah.
I'm too cheap to replace my external earbuds and microphone often enough, so just go with one here. But I'm doing great. Since we talked last, I think we talked on this show before the Writers of the Future Awards Week and Gala in April. And since then, I've been to Hollywood, been to that amazing event, and lots of writing and working on my own short story collection that's coming out soon. It's been a whirlwind few months since we last talked.
It's so we can talk about the gala a little bit now. We can talk about the whole process a little bit now that you've been. They threatened my life not to talk about it before the event, but everybody knows about the 24-hour story. It's like legendary at this point. And you're out there, you're minding your business. What were you thinking about all of this? Just this kind of walk us through how you just boom. Because I know it's kind of an eye-opening whirlwind kind of experience when you get there. I've seen it enough times now that I know, it's just a lot to take in. So how did you feel? Just boom.
It was really exhilarating and scary. Scary in a good way, but just not knowing exactly what to expect, but knowing there was going to be so much. And the other writer winners, most of us had been interacting for a few months online. one of us set up a Discord, and so we were exchanging messages with each other, getting to know each other before. So we were already starting to be friends before we arrived there. So getting to meet the other writer winners was fun. And but then once we were there, like we dived right into the work, into the famous fire hose of information.
That's what it is too. Well, I mean, it's a wealth of information. When you're sitting there listening, and see, I have advantages. I'm just listening. I'm not actually involved other than listening, but watching all of y'all and seeing what y'all come away with. Because, you know, I've almost always interviewed everybody who's been there on a secondary time after they've been there. And, you know, I see a lot of y'all come away with a lot of interesting stuff. Not just learning stuff about your craft, but also kind of a story kind of thing, how the whole event went and how you met some of the big names that actually are out there judging. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about Writers of the Future and Illustrators of the Future. It's held in California every year in Hollywood. The GALA is held actually in April, and he is one of the big winners, and it's an interesting experience. So you're there. So first off, I know they asked you about the 24-hour story. So, and this is one of the biggest questions I get asked about this whole damn event is, how do they do that? It's impossible. Now, watching y'all for 5 years, I know personally it's not impossible. And I've actually seen some damn good stories come out of here. So, I mean, so how did you feel? Were you like, uh-oh, why did I get into this? Or were you like, I got it, man, it's under control? Or, I mean, how'd you feel?
It was tough. I don't write that way normally. You know, I go forward and then I see something wrong in the previous section. I've got to go back and fix that. I'm a kind of labor and fret over every word and revise and revise and revise. And eventually I'll loop around forward to get to the finish line, which is, you can't do that if you're writing a story in 4 hours.
No.
So it was a different style of writing for me. It was very educative. Like I'm on the plotter and pantser spectrum. I'm more of a plotter. I'm the kind of guy who I plan out the characters and the plot, and I come up with a plan before I get much into the writing. And that probably won't change, but going through that exercise was so useful. It taught me a lot about my own writing process and about just getting the intellect, getting the front part of the brain out of the way. It's okay to sit and plan sometimes, but sometimes you gotta turn off that part of the brain that's trying to construct a machine and just let it flow and trust your intuition and let the words flow through your fingers. And so that's what it did for me. Some of the people come up with like really amazing stories, and we got to read a couple of them. And I mean, one of the ones who, you know, all 12 of us wrote stories. Not all of us. Not all of us. We didn't get to see all of the stories, but you know, we picked 2 to critique. They were both like that close to being publishable already by the time they came out. And that was impressive. Like mine wasn't. It was a learning experience for me, but I didn't come up with this is a gem publishable story. No, I'm going to hide this, and it was something I learned, but it's not. That wasn't a story I'm going to use.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing you learn. I mean, that's what it's there for. It's there to teach y'all, and yeah. I notice to teach. Everybody seems to come away with something different from it, which I find interesting in itself. And, you know, there has been some good stories come out. I'm sure there's been some stories like, well, John would know how many stories come out and get published out of those 24 hours.
Most of them do end up getting published. You know, sometimes they need a little rewrite, but the basic story has now been envisioned. And so then, like, for you, doing your process now of polish that you do is different than somebody else's. For the most part, these stories end up getting published, which is a real testament to the ability for a professional like yourself now to create something like that really fast. And I guess that's like the product. You've got some authors like Hubbard. He was writing, you know, his composition speed was like over 90 words a minute. And so he would pump out, 100,000 words a month for himself doing stuff. And that's how he funded his travels and researches and stuff. But Dean Wesley Smith, he'll write 75,000 words a month. Kevin Anderson, I'm not sure what his word count is, but he's pretty high word count. He's got his technique is the dictating his stories as he's hiking. What he does.
That would be easier for me.
Yeah. I'm just curious for you though, Lance, was there any of the judges that were there that you were like fanboying over? And if not, is there anybody that you're most looking forward to listening to?
Yeah, well, I mean, I had met Rob Sawyer years earlier, and it was good to connect with him again.
Fellow Canadian,
to hear from him, yeah. Kevin J. Anderson, Dean Wesley Smith. I mean, it was amazing meeting all of those folks. The one that got me emotional wasn't a writer, wasn't one of the instructors, but it was the widow of A. Van Vogt.
Lydia. She is
Lydia. She is, and I got to meet her briefly, and just when I met her at the GALA, and it was so nice to hear from her. I'd gotten to know her listening to your podcast, John. On you had her on for one episode.
Yeah, good. So like her whole history there with Eisenhower, General Eisenhower. Yeah, that was like her story was amazing.
Yeah.
She's like 97, 98. She's still wearing heels. She is such an amazing woman.
Yeah, and she was married to one of the important historical figures in science fiction.
Mm-hmm. A.E. Van Vogt.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Yeah, she loves that event. She's come every year for many, many years.
Oh, it was such an amazing event. Hearing the speeches from the other winners, hearing Dean Wesley Smith was sort of honored for his lifetime achievement, and he's not the kind of guy. I mean, I don't know him real well, but in the little bit of time I had to interact with him, he doesn't seem like a guy who's prone to big displays of emotion. But he was up on stage getting emotional about the last 40 years.
Yeah,
and that was nice to see, and it was the first time I ever wore a tux in my life. So
there you go.
Oh, man.
It was a week of firsts for you.
Yes, it was.
So hopefully you'll be wearing many more tux. More tux you wear, the more awards you win.
Yes.
John looks good in that tux. You see him all up there styling and stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to be seeing Rob Sawyer at Tampa. He's one of our special guests that we're bringing him and Jody. Jody Lynn and I are going to be the guests, and they're going to be doing panels, but they'll be signing from our booth.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
They should be. So what do you got going on? What's up next for you? What kind of trouble are you going to get in here soon?
So I've still been writing, having success with short stories. I had a short story come out with the magazine Analog, one of the longest running magazines in science fiction. So that came out right around the same time as Writers of the Future came out in May. And they just in the past week accepted another story of mine. So in a few weeks, we'll have another story coming out from Analog. And yeah, I'm happy with that. Analog is something I can feel proud of. It's one of these, it's one of the top level magazines. One of the sort of the, probably one of the 4 top magazines in science fiction. And I'm coming out with my own short story collection, and that's going to be released on September 12th. So I've had a few stories published over the years, some of them in just small press magazines years ago. But I sort of I filtered through and picked out some of the best ones and put together a collection, and ready for that to come out and start marking it in and give people a chance to read some of the stuff I wrote.
How are you publishing that?
Indie publishing. So I'm working with a few different platforms. Drafted Digital for the ebook, KDP Print for Amazon paperback, and Ingram Spark for the paperback for everywhere else.
Good.
Yeah, before we go on, explain indie publishing, because I get this question every time we talk about it. I always get 5-6 people write into me. Well, what are they talking about? And I'm like, well, listen to the show and you'll learn. So now, every time we bring it up, actually, several little things that y'all say, I make y'all explain now. But one of y'all just go ahead and explain to them what it is.
Sure. Well, I'll start, and maybe John, if you can jump in, because I mean you know a lot about this as well. With the new technology for things like print on demand, it is no longer necessary that a book has to have, 1,000 or 5,000 copies printed for it to be economical. Even the big publishers, a lot of their books they're doing print on demand for a lot of their books. But that has made it possible for any person to publish a book. And so there are services out there. Amazon has theirs called KDP Print. There are some that lean more towards
Kindlepreneur.
Yeah. And Ingram Spark is another one. So an author can format their book, go through the platform, upload the book, and it can be then available on platforms like any of the sort of the online book selling platforms. Amazon, of course, is the big behemoth there, but Barnes and Noble, in Canada, Indigo, any of these online bookstores can be reached through some of these self-publishing platforms, and so that's one of the reasons why there's millions of books published.
Yeah, there's like 4 million books a year now being published, whether all the different formats. I did 2 interviews, or actually 3 interviews. I did 2 with Ingram Spark, and then I also did another one with on the Amazon Kindlepreneur, on that one there. And then there's another one too. I don't know if you've done this with Amazon. It's the what the heck is it called now? It's the one where you do a chapter in installments, chapter, and you. Oh,
yes. So one of the other Volume 40 winners, one of my cohort, is doing that right now with the series. GALA, I believe it's called. That one, I think it's experimental because right now it's only available to Amazon customers in the United States.
It's been that way since the beginning, but okay. I did an interview on that probably 2 years ago. And that was very interesting too. That's its own. I mean, some people make a lot of money on it. Some authors can make a lot of money if you have a lot of followers on it. That you buy chapter installments as you're reading along, and as long as the author has a good, storyline that keeps people's interest, and then enough of a hook that makes sure I got to read the next chapter, then it just it keeps you going.
Well, that's going full circle back to the way novels were published 125 years ago. Like Charles Dickens, his novels came out chapter by chapter in magazines or newspapers.
That's right.
I mean, as much as I enjoy novels, and I'm also writing a novel, I think it's no secret that there's generally declining attention spans in society today. And I think a lot of people are becoming more interested in short stories.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's one of those things being done by design, not by chance.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, well, people have too many things going on in their life at one time.
There's things serious dumbing down in education too. But that's not
because you got your cell phone. What do you have to learn anything for? What do you just ask your cell phone? I catch myself all the time saying, Alexa, what's this? Alexa, what's that? When I want to spend some time. I mean, I got a whole set of encyclopedias I don't even use anymore. It is a shame because it's a lot of people and then like myself, personally, I like to listen to books. I can't really read them anymore. I really just don't have that kind of time. But for a lot of people, it's not even about the time. It's about just, how can I say this politely, being lazy. It takes too much effort.
They got a vocabulary of maybe 200 words.
Well, that really bites too.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's part of the educational system too, where it's just.
It is.
With the new psych education stuff where it's, you don't have to clear words and you don't need to know the stuff here. And then a lot of the history, it gets like it's discussing here in California, especially here in Los Angeles. They do these game shows, or little contests, and you say, okay, so who's the vice president of the United States? Who's famous celebrity's oldest son's name? Oh, it's Billy Bob. It's like they know all that stuff.
No, I know.
No civics.
Oh, I watched him the other day walk around 2 campuses asking what our vice president has done, and it was just sad. It was. I mean, they had no clue whatsoever. I don't think they had any clue what was going on in the world, for that matter.
Well, that for both ways, because she hasn't done anything, but also the fact that not being able to know what she did.
Yeah, well, that's just sad. And then just recently, I was at a little meeting thing, or whatever you want to call it, a little group thing, and I asked about the Palestinians and why is everybody pro this, pro that, and you were surprised. Nobody actually knew what actually happened in Israel. I was like, wow, okay, well, I don't even need to be here. Let me go now. Nice talking to y'all. Bye. I'm out of here. It would have been a waste of my time to even try to discuss it with anybody. But anyway, we don't need to talk about that. There's a lot of that crap in the world, people. Feel free to join us on Friday nights. We get in depth into a lot of those topics. And matter of fact, if you happen to be one of these voters for the podcast awards, John and I would appreciate your vote. We know there's only 5,000 of y'all left now because the 5 million have voted, and we've made it in the round 2. But be sure to go vote. Oh no, Glenda, this show is not up. Not until next year. It was too new to put up this year, and UFO Undercover wasn't up this year because, frankly, I hadn't done enough live shows to get it. But John's up, Right as the Future's up there, and News and the Flip Side's up there. So go check it out.
Right, the Future's up in 3 different categories. We're in art,
and
we're into education, which is a big thing of what I do with Right as the Future, and then the third one is storytelling drama. So we're very excited about that.
Remember, people, I am friends with the aliens. If you don't vote correctly, it's going to be like Santa Claus coming to visit. Oh, anyway, be sure to get out there and vote, though, people. We appreciate everybody who voted for us to get us this far. So
yep,
it's nice to see both our shows and up there in the lights. 5 years now, runner up every year, second place. Runner up. I'm not complaining. Well, yes, I am complaining.
Yes, you are.
I was going to try to say
you always complain.
I'm complaining. I don't like to lose, people. I'm sorry, but anyway. Well, I'm hoping to see like some really good sci-fi work come out of Lance. Man, I need some new sci-fi. So wait, while we're on this, what is your favorite genre to write in?
Science fiction.
Science fiction, yeah. Just straight out science fiction, or like near now science fiction, or
I write hard science fiction. I write sort of near future, political, and sociological science fiction.
That sounds interesting.
What was the inspiration for your story that you wrote that you got published in Rise of the Future?
Well, so part of this I haven't talked about before. That story was actually a prequel. I had written a story years ago that got published in a small magazine set in the same world, and the original inspiration of that was it was a mesh. It was a confluence of 2 things. One was some of the new findings in astronomy, exoplanet astronomy, learning that almost every star in this galaxy has planets around it. And the astronomers were starting to understand some of the characteristics of these planets. And there were solar systems that looked very different than ours, and there were planets that looked very different than ours, including some where the planet is tidally locked to a star, where the same face is facing towards the star the whole time.
Yep.
When a planet, or like our own moon, this has happened to our moon around us. Our moon used to rotate and show us a different face, but millions or billions of years ago, it gradually slowed down and stopped. I asked myself, well, what happens as it's slowing down and stopping? What about a planet where it hasn't quite finished locking to its star, so it's still rotating, but so slowly? And if it's rotating slowly enough, you can end up with a day being longer than a year. And so this is what I created for this world, was a planet where the day is 15 years long. What would it be like to live on a planet like that? So that was one side of it. The other side of it was this metaphor I've heard about the sort of the phases that humanity goes through. History is cyclical, but it doesn't quite repeat itself ever. And we go through moments of really like moving forward by leaps and bounds, and then, years of sliding backwards and so on. And I was asking myself about this idea that, this spiritual rejuvenation, this cultural rejuvenation of humanity, and how it's like the passing of the days, the return of the sun, and the sun rises, and, you get new civilizations, new ideas, new philosophies that bring new life to human beings. But then invariably we go through some kind of dark ages, some kinds of period when things are declining and the principles and ideas and values have been lost. And so I put those two ideas together, and where that idea of chasing the sun was sort of, in a sense, a metaphor for human beings deciding if they're going to learn or not, deciding if they're going to change or not.
Don't get me started on human beings. But see, that kind of stuff I like. I like any kind of sci-fi that makes you think. Or actually, I do, unfortunately or fortunately, depends how you look at it. I really do like near now sci-fi for some reason. I got hooked on it, I think, with Babylon 5 or somewhere. One of those TV soap opera, sci-fi soap opera somewhere along the line. I got hooked on. I'm not sure where, but The Expanse and Altered Carbon actually brought it home even more for me, because they're both near now sci-fis and they're really good. By the way, I have to anytime I bring up Altered Carbon, I feel the need to give a warning. Please don't let your children watch it. Don't get me wrong; it's really good sci-fi, and there's a lot of good scenes in it. But let's just say it's worse than R-rated, and we'll just leave it at that. Yes, you see a lot of stuff that you don't want your children to see. That's all I can tell you. This show is not rated high enough for me to tell you any more than that. But it is a good sci-fi experience. It's a good sci. Any of that stuff makes me feel good. Or anytime I see social and political environments and such that they came from us, regardless what time era we're talking about here, you just know, okay, well, that's the human race. Whether on the rise or the down decline, it does seem to be us. So I guess it's just some way I got hooked on that. So I'll be looking forward to anything you write like that. I'll keep my eye out for it, because I'm always interested in something.
Well, that's good. Well, about half of the stories in Chasing New Suns, my new book, are near future speculative fiction, and the other half are kind of like, far future.
Well, I like that too. So I can't. Somebody said, "Well, you don't like far future?" I said, "Yeah, man. You ever heard of Star Wars? What the hell are you talking about?" Star Trek. Well, I guess technically, it depends which Star Trek we're talking about, whether it's near future or far future. But yeah, because when they made Enterprise, it brought it a lot closer to where we are today. Yeah, don't ask me. We're not even going there, people. No Doctor Who. No, sorry, we don't talk about Doctor Who on the show no more. No, sorry. What? No. Lance, someone talk about Doctor Who. Don't get me started. Just stop. Come talk to me on Friday night about that. We'll talk all you want about it. We're just not going to talk about it here. But so, I know all writers want to get them novels out, but would you prefer to be able to write short stories? Because that is what's in demand these days. Everybody's got their 15-minute clock, basically. It's like when you watch them on TikTok, they're like, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. It's like they're being hypnotized. I swear. It's like, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh.
As a writer, there's something I enjoy about each. So I think the best world for me would be writing both novels and short stories.
Yeah, that would make
sense. It's pretty close to impossible to make a living writing short stories.
I was going to say, you need the novels to make a living.
Yeah. But even if it was the other way around, I think I'd still write both. And even if I I'm working on a novel now. If I'm successful with that, I have no plans to stop writing short stories.
So, I mean, it's just you just can't get as much per short story as you can per novel, I guess. Or I
No.
guess
Yeah, and
novels
it's different art forms. They're both writing and they're both fiction, but the tools you're using as a writer are different, and sort of, weaving around and exploring a dozen different options and weaving them back together the way you do in a novel is fun and interesting and fulfilling. But there's something like this sense of satisfaction of crafting this little thing you can hold in your hand and look at it from different angles all at once. And short story that you can hold it all in your head at once and you can see it all at once. And wow, I created that, and it's I think it might be perfect. Whereas a novel there's no such thing as a perfect novel. So yeah, I mean, each has, as a writer, each has something different. And so, yeah, I expect I'm going to keep writing both for as long as I'm still writing.
You like it and you make money at it. You can't really bitch about that. I mean, that's always a plus. That's why I do construction. People ask, why you do construction? Because I like it. I enjoy it. For somewhere along the line, I needed this sense of completion and gave it to me for some reason. Couldn't tell you why. If I could, I would, but I really don't know. But what's that, Glenda? Where are you from? New York? You from New York? Well, you're the one who wrote it, New York. That's why I'm saying it that way. What part of New York are you from? The city? Okay. New York has a lot of cities in it, boo. Are you like from New York? New York? Is that what you're saying? The Bronx? So what's your question? So you're talking about fantasy. I don't know. She's asking if you want to, if you've written fantasy or if you'd like to write fantasy.
I think really the last time I wrote fantasy was back in high school, and well, it stunk partly because I was in high school and still learning to write. It was bad. It's not out of the question that I would write fantasy, but I like sort of the science fiction, especially if you're writing hard science fiction, put some boundaries around you. This has to be plausible. It has to make sense scientifically, even if it's like imaginative. Something that may or may not be scientifically possible. Putting those boundaries around myself puts like some constraints on myself as a writer, and then figuring out how to create the story in that, and how do those constraints themselves help me create the story. Whereas in fantasy, I've always got an escape hatch. Oh, I can add some magic to solve this problem. I can have a dragon show up to solve this problem. And good fantasy writers don't do that. They write things to make sense. But I think I would be too tempted to take the escape hatch if I was writing fantasy. But it's not out of the question. I write science fiction partly because I like exploring science and the ideas, but partly because it's just a tool. And if I get to this point where I've got a story where, the tools to tell this story might lie more in the realm of fantasy than science fiction, then I could see myself doing that. But for now, I love science fiction. I love reading science fiction. It's 80% of what I read is science fiction. And so that's where my focus is these days.
And I tell you what, it's because people who like to write science fiction that we have Neil deGrasse Tyson, Michio Kaku, Gene Roddenberry, all these guys all were big into it. I mean, I was listening just a couple weeks ago. I was listening to a physics convention, actually a theoretical physics convention, and they were talking about how they all got into what they were into. All of them. There's not one person at the 100 that took the stage that didn't say thank you sci-fi in some shape, form, or fashion. Someone went back as far as Buck Rogers, the first version of Buck Rogers from the 30s. And and I was kind of like, damn, they were talking about watching them in reruns as they were a kid in black and white. And I was like, shit. And that's going back. And then they were talking about, and then one guy, actually a couple of guys talked about Leslie Nielsen got him into it. I'm like, and it took me a minute. I forgot at one time he did serious acting. He was in Forbidden Planet.
That's
and
right.
he was the lead in it, and a couple of them were like, "Yeah, that got me in. That was it for me. I seen that, and I was done. I was like, I go back and watch that movie every once because it's funny. They get to pull off talking things. Never thought about wireless or cordless. There's so much stuff you see in that it's just so much different than how our life is today. That there was,
Yeah.
it's
Well, I
amazing.
remember. I
Yeah.
remember when I was a kid, when I was like, I don't know, 11, 12 years old, one thing some friends and I used to do maybe once a month or so, we go to the public library, and in the town where I lived, the public library would rent you out a movie projector, and they also had movies. And so you could go and like in your own basement, show a movie. And we would get like, these 1930s and 40s Buck Rogers or Metropolis, these old first science fiction films, and it was such fun. I've got such fond memories of doing that.
No, I'd say I wouldn't stuff like that. I enjoy. So it's even today. It's not on. Even today though, I every now and then I'll break out the projector and watch something. I still got an old Akai reel to reel stereo. I rarely ever use anymore. Oh no, people! This is not state. No. This has tubes in it. Oh yes, this is what state of the art. I wasn't going to say state of the art, but it's not state of the art. No, it's back in the day. It was. I mean, Akai was a big name, and this thing will blow your eardrums out of the house. But it's a reel to reel for audio and video, so you can use it as a projector, or you can use it as a stereo. And what's funny is the case breaks in half, and it's got these two monster speakers inside each side of the case. It's a serious little thing, guys. It's a lot of fun. But it just kind of gives you a flashback in time of how people were before us, how they had to do things. And I remember my grandmother didn't talk about getting around the radio and listening to the radio all the time. They didn't watch TV, so they listened to the radio. And some of that, I guess, I one of the reasons I think I like old radio every once in a while is because I guess I heard some of it when I was a kid. Things because they would get flashbacks or go listen on TV or something. But I think over the years, because I kind of developed a thing for it. And it's one of the reasons I probably prefer audio books over written. I enjoy listening to the sound effects in the background, stuff like that. And, guys, here's what we're on this book 40. This year's book and last year's book is in audio version. So you can go get an audio version of the book. Yes. John
William,
said,
I'm curious about Lance. Are you familiar with any other Canadian winners? Obviously, Rob Sawyer is a judge, and he was a honorable mention. I think maybe a little bit more than that. But any other winners that you know there in Canada?
So, Michael Kodowich, if I'm pronouncing, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right.
Steven Kodowich.
Steven Kodowich, that's right.
Yeah.
Steven Kodowich, who's since gone on to, he's writing his own stuff, but he's also started up this anthology. We used to have different sort of year's best Canadian science fiction anthologies. So they had faded away, but then he resurrected his own version of that because it was a gap in the marketplace, and he's been doing really well with those.
Yeah, he was a guest about 3 months ago on the podcast.
Yeah.
Do you know James Allen Gardner?
I do. I had met James at some point years ago at this networking thing that Rob Sawyer used to host. He and other Canadian science fiction and fantasy writers in the Toronto area used to get together monthly to just sort of hang out. It wasn't like a writers group of exchanging writing or anything. It was a social gathering. And James Allen Gardner, I'm pretty sure has been there a few times.
Melissa Yuan Innes is a winner from there, and I've also had he writes John Haas. He writes horror stuff. He's been a guest a couple times. He was a winner in maybe 6, 7, 8 years ago.
I think Canadian SF and fantasy writers have done okay, I think, in Writers of the Future.
Yeah, they have. It's unfortunate that the TV is kind of like collapsed there because we used to be able to get a winner on there. Up until a couple of years ago, I've been no problem getting on Good Morning in whichever province for Canada.
Yeah.
And then they shut it down. They fired a lot of their staff. because one of the producers routinely enters Rise of the Future when she made a point of getting all the winners on, which was great. But then she was one of the last ones they let go, and they're just like they really cut down a lot on the Good Morning Canada. It's just kind of like, oh, over to you. If it's Good Morning, more power to you.
Yeah. No, a lot of those kind of news and current affairs and morning shows, both on radio and in television in Canada, have scaled back their budgets and
big time. Yeah,
do reruns and stuff like that. I mean, radio's still doing reasonably okay, and I mean, local media has its challenges, but some towns really support their local media, and I've been fortunate here in Thunder Bay in northwestern Ontario. Had a couple different bits of local media coverage after winning Writers of the Future last year.
Yes, and good stuff there at the beginning.
Yeah.
Thunder Bay. I think I got 2 hosts in Thunder Bay. We got 1, 2. I think we got 7, 8 hosts from Canada. Well, my station manager's from Canada, and her co-host also is from Canada. But one's from Ontario, one's in Niagara. One lives in Saskatchewan. I think 2 live in Thunder Bay. What's his face lives out in BC. They scattered all over the damn place. We always kept quite a few Canadians around. It's like a good luck charm or something. As long as they're not wearing pink shorts, we're good to go, man. What's that, Jimmy? You'd have to go listen to the news show to know what that comment's about. Yes, just go listen to it and you'll find out. What do you mean, who am I voting for? For what? What, for prep? Don't even worry about it, man. Just go on Friday night. You know, some of the hosts will tell you. By the way, because I know we'll get ready to switch in a little bit, but November 5th, like we do every 4 years, there'll be a big, massive show with 8 or 10 hosts on it from every variety in life, from every political variety in life will be there, and they'll all be doing the election poll all night long. And yes, Bruce, if you're a friend of the show or a friend of the network, you're allowed to stop by and hop in with everybody else. Yes. It gets a little chaotic some years, but everybody's real nice because we all know each other, even though my liberal friends and conservative friends hate each other. Or just on that night. The rest of the time, they're fine with each other. But on that night, they hate each other. It's kind of fun to watch. But, we're really hard-hitting, and we've done it for 4 presidencies in a row, and we've predicted each one right so far. So. We get out there tonight and we go by the numbers. Yeah. And so far we've been right on the numbers. So, but check it out. We're there on Friday nights, and you can go listen to what we're talking about on Friday nights. And we take turns because I'm a centralist, so we take turns hating on people. So, and nobody's safe, man. Doesn't matter what political party you're not safe. No, our friends like that are safe. So well, no, all you got to do is go to writersoffuture.com. All the rules and regulations are there. How you submit's there. Everything you need to know is right there. Yes. And if you think you're a good enough author to write, go. John says he likes seeing new stuff come in.
And even if you're not sure you're good enough, go.
That's true.
And submit.
Because quite a few of the winners told me, I didn't think I'd ever be able to do this. And wham, bam, they sure the hell did it. So that's the way you do it. Where are you from, Jeffrey? Jeffrey is from Orange Beach, Florida. Orange Beach, Florida. Oh, okay. Well, I was thinking Orange Beach, Alabama. So, yeah, Florida, Bama is what I was thinking when you said that. But I now realize what you were saying. So he's just basically asking Lance. So why? Damn, I'm losing my voice. Why did you decide you want to write? He said, what was it? What was a motivating factor in your life that made you want to write?
Wow, I don't know if I have an answer to that, because I've been writing at least since I was, how old are you when you're in grade 6? About 11 years old, at least.
Yeah,
probably before
there.
That. Me and a friend who lived across the street, I like telling stories. He was really good at art. We created comic books together. I'd write the story, he did the art, and we put together our own little comic book. In high school, I tried to write a novel, and wrote short stories along the way. It just, I wanted to do it telling stories. I think I was exposed to books a lot when from a very early age. And so just reading filtered into me, and storytelling. I mean, later when like as a teenager, I worked as a camp counselor, and part of my job was it's campfire time, and you got to tell a story around the campfire. And so trying to learn how to do that well, and sort of, I didn't realize I was doing it at the time, but sort of honing my storytelling craft. And it seeped into my bones, I guess.
Yeah, if that's what it was, and then it brings you happiness. You can't complain. I like being happy with stuff I do. It's fun. Just like doing radio, it always makes me happy to do it. A lot of people say it puts me in a better mood. Yeah, we'll see about that. I don't know if that's true or not. Marissa, well, the jury's out on that. But Marissa, what do you got? That's his wife. Yeah, that's Miss Emily Goodwin. Yes. What about her? That's his wife, John. Oh, you can't see me point. Wait, now you can see the guy down there, right there by himself. That's John. It's his wife. Yeah. What about her? She's not an author. No. She's just one of the big bosses. That's all. Well, if you win, like you said, you've been telling me for a while, you're going to submit. So if you win, you'll get to meet her. You get to see what she does.
If you're going to go to Atlanta Dragon Con, you'll see her there, and you'll see her in Salt Lake City at FanX.
She's a sweetie pie. I give her trouble, but she's a sweetie pie. Yeah, no, she's a sweetie pie. She's hardworking sweetie pie. How's that? I've never asked her if she ever thought about writing. No, it's never come up in one of our conversations. No, it's not something that's come up. We've talked about a lot of things, but that's just never come up. Next time.
Well, she's the one that she scripted the Writers of the Future online workshop. She's the one that wrote it, and then got the judges in and coached them through all the different videos. So she's going to put that together. That was her product.
Yeah. So if anybody's taking that course, thank Emily for that.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the course. No, I'm gonna probably end up taking it again because I got hung up on something the other day I was thinking about, and I was thinking maybe I might go take a walk down memory lane and see if it jogs my memory any.
Did you take that course, Max?
I only started taking the course after I won the contest. And once I got halfway into it, I thought, wow, I should have done this a long time ago. I mean, I had reached the point that I was good enough to win Writers of the Future, but still, I was learning stuff. It's, I think it's a useful thing for anyone who's sort of, beyond the first stage of learning how to write a sentence. If you're a beginner, or you've been writing short stories, or even trying to write your handed novels for a few years, at any level in there, I think you'll find it useful. I had been, from time to time, I want to learn something and I try and educate myself on YouTube. And there's some good stuff on YouTube, different people putting stuff up on tips on writing and different aspects of writing, but it's all kind of hit and miss. The Writers of the Future online course, which is free, I just found it's useful.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I did it.
That's good. Yeah, that's the main thing with all things Writers of the Future. As it was originally created by L. Ron Hubbard back in '83, it was free to enter and judged by the pros, and then to help launch careers, and so we continued expanding on that theme. So we've got the blog, we've got the podcast, we've got the online course, we got the forum. They're all free, and the whole purpose is to provide that assistance that's needed to make your next step. And you're also in an environment where you're not going to have people that are just going to give you any grief. And if somebody's in there trying to do that, they get one warning, and they do it again, they're out of there. They're banned from Writers of the Future. So we just keep it so it's a safe space for people to grow as an author or artist.
Well, and I think the whole Writers of the Future ecosystem, the awards, but all the other things we've been building around it over the years have become really important in nurturing the field of science fiction and fantasy. And so for that, I know me, the other writers and illustrators for that matter who've won and participated. We're grateful for what you and the team have done.
Yeah, and it's just carrying on that the basic, game plan as originally envisioned there by Hubbard. I mean, what's amazing too is that it was for him it was so important he put it in his will, so it's still funded by the estate. So that's all from his earnings. He still pays for all that stuff. So that's pretty amazing too. So, and then Joe, it was fun with him coming out there. He was going to, the investigative reporter from hell, going to come in and find out, okay, what's the real scene here?
Yes, what is the real story out there? It's somebody asked me the other day about that. I was talking at a little group in New Orleans. The guy goes, "Is it true you went out there?" I said, "You damn right it was." I said, "I gave that man so much shit." And the guy's like, no. And I was telling him some stuff I'd tell John, and they're like, "No, you didn't?" I said, "Yeah, I did." I said, "Look, when people make big claims, I expect big to back them up." And I said, anybody who knows me knows that's how I am. I mean, if you listen to me do lectures for any of the things I lecture on, people know, but it was but now when I'm traveling and they ask me about Rise of Future, I can be honest and give them a nice clean promotion and plug without it being, weighing on my conscience or anything. And when it comes out sincere, people see it sincere, whoever they are. And they change their opinions a lot of times on whatever crazy belief they had.
Yeah.
Which there's some crazy beliefs out there, by the way. But I have faith. I really truly do have faith that eventually everybody will get their brains straight. All right.
Well, and I think maybe the best evidence is if someone picks up the book and reads it.
Oh yeah.
And they'll see how good the stories are. And I'm not saying that because of my story, but having read through all the stories in volume 40, it was such a delight to read what the other winners had written. And it's top level, it's professional quality science fiction and fantasy.
It is.
And
it's fun.
You can look at the list of past winners, you can look at who the judges are to see that it's legit. But I think the writers of the future volumes themselves are probably the best evidence that the contest, the Writers of Future contest, is it's a legit thing.
Actually, yeah. Kim, it's a lot of fun to read it, and believe it or not, they put it in order, or I shouldn't say put it in order, but they arrange it in such a way that it kind of flows through the book. You have to read it to understand what I'm saying, but in other words, you don't have one story and then the next story behind it is so much different. It's kind of hard to make the leap into the next story. That's not how they put the book together, but you can get them. I don't think I have any. I don't have any I can give away, so don't just forget that. I might have one I can show you right quick. Yeah, but that's it right there. See, that's it right there. A nice, pretty, clean book. I was actually wearing this T-shirt earlier today. I thought about wearing it on the show tonight. So that's volume 40. That's the big winners. What's that, Christopher? No, Lance is a big winner. No, yeah, he's the top dog. He's the big honcho, the big hot dog. Yeah, he's got a good story. The best way, people, we could sit here and tell you all night long about stories, but really and truly, the book is under $20, and there's 12. Was it 12 or 14 stories in this one?
There's 12 winner stories, and then there's the story, the cover story that one of the judges writes, and then we have another judge story, and then our Hubbard story. So you're getting 15 stories in there.
It's never 12 people. None of the books I've read yet have had just 12 stories.
Yeah, no, you also have the other stuff too.
Yes.
But just in terms of ratings, like on Amazon, there's over 70 ratings and it's 4.8, and Goodreads has 100 and almost 150 ratings, and it's 4.56 ratings. So it definitely has, good stories.
Denise, where are you from, Denise? Malibu? Were you out there in John's World? What do you mean? No. I can't guarantee you're gonna like every story that you see. It's It's 12 distinct different styles of writing. Some are sci-fi, a lot of fantasy. There's just a lot of other things in there they write about. And well, how many genres are on the website that they can write about? I don't know. It's been a while since I've
Anything
been over there.
speculative, so it can be science fiction, fantasy, but then there's all the subgenres: science fiction, fantasy, and then it's dark fantasy, alternate history. It's just all that stuff there. The main thing is that when you read a Rise of the Future story, they're fresh, they're original ideas. They're not necessarily new tropes, but they're fresh takes on existing tropes. So it's something that, like, the judges who are very well read said, surprise me. Give me something I'm going to go like, wow, and make them want to turn the page. That's what you're going to get. And they'll themselves, they say, look, I don't always like Dave Farland, when he was the coordinator, he says, I don't like werewolf stories. But some people do, and there'll be werewolf stories in there. And Jody might not like, this story, and somebody else might not like that story, but they'll give it a fair shake and be like, wow, this is pretty amazing.
What do you mean, Jimmy? Oh, no, you want to win, send lots of chocolate to Emily. Yes. Yes, that'll help. Yeah, well, it really won't help, but she'll appreciate it anyway.
Yeah.
She'll get mad at me because I'll be trying to fatten her up. But what's that? Oh, yeah, I meant to ask you. I'm sorry. Somebody asked a little while ago, how do you keep your character straight in your head when you're writing a multi-character story?
I sometimes will have a separate document where I write a little character sketch of each person, some of the sort of the basic facts about them, write a bit of their dialogue to start getting in my head what they sound like, sort of their history, their motivations, what's important to them. And sometimes I'll go randomly search the internet and find a picture of some stranger who I don't know who they are, but people post pictures on Facebook and everywhere else. And I just, okay, that woman, that's sort of in my head what I was thinking this character is. And I don't know if this is violating someone's privacy, but they put the picture on the internet. So I'll grab that picture, I'll put that in my document, and somewhere in Ohio or France or somewhere, there's a woman who looks like the character in my head. And that's just part of making that character more real for me. So those are some of the things I do.
See, what's that, Christopher? Well, look, if I start trying to write multi-role, unless it's a story I'm writing about somebody I know personally, I'd be all over the place. I'd be forgetting halfway down the line who this person was, what kind of dirty, no good, what they were doing. And
I did that for sure. I think back to the first time I tried to write a novel, and then I shared it with someone, and they said, "You're mixing up the characters' names." It's like I had two main characters, and I hadn't realized in my head they were almost the same. And then I would forget which one was, and I'd put one's name when it was the other, so getting them mixed up in your head, losing track is easy to do. Especially when you're first starting. But so some of those tricks that I talked about of really trying to get to know who they are, and imagining and trying to make that person real in your mind is makes it easier to start keeping them straight.
Yeah, I could see that would actually help. Pete, what's that? What do you mean writing about your environment? What are you talking about? You mean like where you live? Where are you from? Staten Island, New York? So you mean writing about Staten Island as a place? Well, I'm just trying to get it in my head what you're saying. What do you mean? How do you do that? Let's ask John and Lance. How do you do that? Because I really don't know. How do you write about your environment? Because when you said environment, I thought Anyway, so you're talking about in the area you live and the place you live, where you go have lunch and where you have dinner and who's down the street and stuff like that. Is that what you're talking about? How do you write that without being boring? I guess is what I'm going to ask y'all. Any pitches on that? Because that just seems like to me they would be hard to do.
Well, just when there was an article in there that Hubbard writes. It's on the online writing workshop too, on Search for Research, where you have a person, a writer or somebody there, and somebody from out of town comes in, and they go to the corner drugstore there, and they see these old guys sitting there, and they walk in there, and then they go back and they write a bestseller about this town, and the guy's like, "What the heck?" It's somebody else coming in, and you get so familiar with it, you lose the freshness, you lose this, you don't see what's really there. And one of the things that when the drills, hopefully we'll be able to get that back in again, is Meet a Stranger, where the winners used to have so much fun going out there and just they walked on the street and just meet somebody they didn't know at all and just started talking to them. They find out they have the most amazing stories. And so that's one of the drills that you do, is like meet a stranger and then get a this little item that they pass out, that Tim or whoever passes out, just a little trinket or just a worthless piece of nothing, but they all become little prompts to come up with a story idea, and then how to research. Used to go to the library, but now it's learning how to use Google to do that, or whatever search engine you use.
No, not that evil Google. I'm sorry, go ahead.
But whatever search engine you're going to use to put together the research to put something, a story. But the main thing is you need to go at your own area. Your main problem with is that you stop looking at it in a unit of time. You're just like, okay, I already know this stuff. You haven't bothered to sit down and just talk to somebody on the corner. This old guy that just comes there every day and just sits there, and you talk to him and find out all of a sudden he was in World War II, or he was there in Operation Desert Storm. And you find out what it was like. Wow, these guys have amazing stories. Or they grew up and they were in the mountains and they had this adventure or that adventure. So the main thing on that is that you need to get your freshness of perspective, of viewpoint to your own locale in order to be able to write something that's interesting about you. Because if it's not interesting to you, you're not going to make it interesting in your story. And I'll let Lance pick it up from that.
I think the other thing that's important is remembering you're writing a story, and story comes first. And so, if you are interested to write about your own place, and it's a place you'd need to try to look at it through the eyes of the characters in your story, and look at it in terms of what's happening in the plot, like what's happening in the story that relates to this place, Staten Island or wherever it is. If you're just describing your surroundings because that's your hometown and you love it, and it's going to come across as boring. But if you're describing it because this feeds into it, informs it, it affects the story, that the character is going this way and he's suddenly encounters the craziest intersection in the whole city as he's trying to drive away from the cops or whatever. Now you've got a reason to describe it, and now that lets you as the writer also look at it with fresh eyes. And then the other thing is put yourself in the mind of that character, and what does she see when she sees? I know what I see. I've lived here all my life. This is my hometown. But what does that character see? How does she see things differently than I do? And I think that's part of how you make setting, especially if it's like your own setting, a place you're already very familiar with, how you can bring it to life in a story and make it serve the story while also, I want to do this sometimes too. It's like sometimes I'm writing about Northwestern Ontario, or I'm writing about the Canadian prairies where I'm originally from, and to just put those descriptions in there because I love those places. I don't know, some travel writers know how to do that maybe, but in a story, I think you've got to put it in there because it's serving the story. And then you can put in those beautiful descriptions, and they're beautiful while serving the story.
Good. Yeah, it's obviously the proof is in the pudding if you're going to what kind of a story you're doing, but some people will go into and they'll challenge. Like when writing fantasy or even science fiction, what you put in your fantastical part or your fictional part has to be able to blend smoothly with reality. So you've got Tim Powers is really good with this. He'll research the whole area, the whole environment, so he knows what streets are connected to what and what buildings are where, and the front door and the back door, and so that gives him his point of reality. Then he'll find little gaps in time, and he'll fill in those gaps with his fantasy or his fiction. But he'll build everything else around it, so that makes it he does it very seamlessly. That's why he's so good, and he's won multiple World Fantasy Awards. But he'll do that stuff so that as a reader, you're like, wow, that's pretty amazing. It's like how you get you're able to suspend disbelief that way.
Yes. We got our other guest with us, so we're going to bring him up in just a second. Ladies and gentlemen, what's that? Well, Lance, where can they find you, man?
My website is www.lancerobinsonwriter, all one word, .com. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, but yeah, the easiest way to find me in social media is to start at my website, and you'll find links to my social medias from there.
Yeah, we'll go to his website, guys. He goes, wait, if you forget, you can always come back. It's in the middle of the show, so you can always stop in. We got guests smiling. That's got me laughing. Sorry about that, man. I seen that wonderful smile.
Hey, team. Great interview.
Man. Yes.
Hi, Amir. Nice to see you.
Good to see you too, Lance. I just started your book, The Advanced Copy. Phenomenal. It's a real page turner. Yes, Chasing These Suns, really good.
I see that, man. You got one author telling that. Well, don't you have a new one coming out yourself? Or were you just out signing a new one?
No, I was signing Writers of the Future, Volume 40.
Well, yeah. That's a good one. That's a good one to be signing. Yeah, that's a good one to be signing. So, we got Lance. So we know you came down, you won, you went down, you got down there. So, what did you think when you got to LA, man? What the hell did I get myself into? I'm just curious. I ask everybody, whether writers, illustrators, doesn't really matter. I'm always curious to see how y'all felt about attending the event, and I'm always curious about the 24-hour story, as Lance will just tell you. I was harassing him about a few minutes ago. But how did you feel getting down here? I mean, was what you expected, or was it different? Or
that's for me, that question?
Yeah, that's for you. Yeah.
Gotcha. I loved it. I love Los Angeles. The people were so nice. All the Writers of the Future staff and writers and authors were so gracious and helped us through it. The gala is really magical. They pick you up in a limousine. You go in. The arena is super nice. It's only a week, but it feels longer and it feels dreamlike in some ways, looking back on it already. The only part that wasn't dreamlike is the 24-hour story. That is you are working. You're really grinding your gears to get that out. I'm not that quick a writer normally, but it did teach me a lot of good lessons. So I'm glad to have done it. The doing it is hard, but having done it is great. It's good looking back.
It's funny. Your answer is so similar to what Lance just said. That's funny.
It's funny because Tim Powers usually hits me up each year and asks me to, when they do it, I'll go around catching pictures. Because y'all are busy with your face down on your laptop or on your pad or in your book, whatever you may or may not be doing. Nobody ever notices that they're having pictures taken. And yeah, there has some expressions like, "Oh my God, what the hell did I get? Can I actually do this?" And then there's some like, "Well, you know what? Who was telling me one year? He said, "No, I wrote it, tore it up, wrote it, tore it up, wrote it, tore it up, went and slept. Said, the hell would I got to get some sleep." Woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning, panicked, wrote it, tore it up again, and then wrote it the last 2 hours. I was like, "Dad, just probably give yourself a damn heart attack, man. What the hell?" And I've had a couple of them say that they would cram it in and then just freak out. No, it's and you don't know if it was really bad or not. It might have just been panic on their part. It might not even have been a bad story. So, I mean, how'd you feel about your story there? How'd you feel it came out?
I've never handed anything in and thought it was good. That's my personal hang up. I always hand stuff in like I have no clue. But I read it recently and I didn't think it was too bad. I want to go back on it, make some revisions and get it out there. I think the hardest part about writing is just getting a draft done. So the really beautiful thing about 24-hour story is you finish a draft, you finish a story. Editing is not as hard, in my opinion. It's just longer.
Just longer.
Well, that's good
my
for you.
case.
I'm one of the people whose 24-hour story is probably going to stay in the drawer forever.
Mine too, probably. But
He says it's not coming out. It's not going to see real daylight. But you never know. When you're rich and famous, people might want to see them stories, man.
That's
They'll be
true.
like, what was
I
this?
mean, it worked for Stephen King on his the what's the one the Western one that he wrote. He did that as little installments in college.
The Dark Tower.
Yeah,
Yep.
he did that series there, and that was nothing compared to his later writings, but he made just a bucket load of money on that series.
It's true. Yeah.
No accounting for what people like. That's all I can say.
So you just came back from a bookstore signing, Amir. So how'd that go?
Really good. It was actually, I was a little nervous going into it, but the people are very friendly. And once everyone knew it was a competition that anyone could enter, people would just talk about story ideas, always having wanted to be a writer. So all the bookmarks, all the little information about the contest, they went like hotcakes. I had to refill it multiple times because people were like, "Oh, really? Tell me about it. What is it like to write?" Da da da. So it was really fun just to talk with people, and it's in a bookstore, so you get a good. Yeah. The odds are good that people want to write because they're readers. So that's great.
You get normal people who like.
Yes.
Books, right?
So it was nice.
You never know today. I mean, people are weird. Today's. I mean, when I grew up,
you guys have had successful bookstore events, which is great.
Yeah, it was really nice.
Did a great one a little while ago, and then you just did one just a few hours ago. So that's really good.
Yeah.
Was that your?
Yeah, I had a nice one. I met some. I think I got some new fans, or at least people who are tentatively fans, signed up for my newsletter. Just random people who were walking into the bookstore, and just getting to meet people was fun.
It's always nice for them to meet the author. It's always nice to put a face behind whoever's writing.
Plus, now you've got a good line with your bookstore. So when you guys have the book, is that going to be available for bookstores too through?
So it will be available for in bookstores. I know my local bookstores will carry it. That'll be fine. But any bookstore that's got access to Ingram, Ingram is a big distributor, as well as having their Ingram Spark indie publishing branch. Ingram is a distributor for a lot of publishers. So
that's what they are foremost. That's their main thing that they're known for. Yeah.
And so, Chasing New Suns will be potentially available in bookstores. And if you want to help a writer out, you can pop into a bookstore and say, "Hey, do you guys have Chasing New Suns by Lance Robinson?" And they can look it up, and they should be able to find it in their catalog. And they say, "Oh, no, maybe we should carry it." That's exactly invitation to listeners to become part of my guerrilla marketing team.
Good. That totally works. Now, Amir, you just got back from was it 2 weeks, the writing conference you were just at?
6 weeks. In
6 weeks.
Yeah. It's a lot. It was fun. But what we're just talking about stories that are in the archives. I got to visit the archives of former people. I saw Octavia Butler there, Tasman Meir, some Writers of the Future people were in there.
Octavia Butler, she was a judge for a short. She got sick right after that, and but I met her, went to her house, and all their walls were just books.
Wow,
she was amazing. She was such a sweet lady. She became a judge, and she got sick, and she had her heart problem. But oh my word, she was great. A really nice inscription in a book she gave to me. But she's an amazing woman.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan. That's amazing. And
Yeah.
I was in San Diego, and it's like all the great science fiction writers had something nice to say about Writers of the Future. It's a very small community, and they all know each other, which is nice.
Yeah.
A lot of crossover at Clarion.
Yep.
That was great to write. And I talked highly about Writers of the Future, and a lot of my fellow writers want to apply for Writers of the Future. They go, "I'm going to get this one ready for Writers of the Future."
Good.
So, so you might see them there.
Yeah, a lot of our judges have been teachers at Writers at Clarion.
Yeah, like Tim Powers was talking about it, I think.
Yeah. He's definitely.
I'm going to ask Amir a question. Was there of the judges who were there, and the other writers who I think there were some just hanging around who weren't formally instructors, but several of the judges came, taught us. was there anyone that like stood out for you that said, "Oh, I want to meet this person"?
At Writers of the Future, or
Yeah, at the Writers of the Future workshop
oh
back
yeah,
in April.
oh yeah.
Who?
Orson Scott Card. I grew up on that book. My father read me those books as a child. So, and I picked that book off the bookshelf as like a 5-year-old. So that was surreal to be like, that's the guy who got me into it. That was crazy. I knew Robert J. Sawyer, but I was also in love with Kevin J. Anderson. I knew him by sight. And then there's Larry Niven was one of my dad's idols. So that was just to be like, we're in the same room. That was cool because my dad went to the event. So yeah, but all of it, I mean, Nnedi Okorafor, just knowing those names from books and then seeing them in person is surreal. And I think like there's pictures of me next to Orson Scott Card, like that big GALA event, and I'm like, wow, I just crop myself and him next to each other. That goes on the wall. I mean, that feels good. So, you know, for nerds like us, it's starstruck. What about you, Lance? There's certain author you're looking forward to?
Yeah, well, I sort of said this in the first part of the interview, but it was really good to reconnect with Robert J. Sawyer. I'd met him years earlier.
Okay.
And so, you know, I approached him not so much as the awestruck fanboy, but as like connecting with this guy who's been successful in the past. You know, I knew him when he was just at the beginning of his career and so on. So just, yeah, being able to reconnect with him was great. Orson Scott Card, for sure. One of the best short story writers there's ever been.
I just did a writing
his novels are
workshop
great.
with Scott Card a couple weeks ago in Florida. We had 130 students there. That was great working with him on that. And then he's going to be coming to Dragon Con in Atlanta in a couple of weeks. He'll be there. And anxious to see how that goes. You know, we've got.
He's a character, man.
Yeah.
Well, I'm cutting into your time, Amir. I think I was supposed to say goodbye, and but these two gentlemen will have some hard questions for you.
Where were you on the night of the 24th?
Yeah.
I gotta go.
Yeah,
It's good to see you, Lance.
So, Joe and John, thanks very much. And I'm going to sign off for you. But yeah, as I've mentioned before, www.lancerobinsonwriter.com. People can look me up. They can find out where Chasing New Suns is available. And
when you know, you need to send me one for back
and
here.
be sure to send one.
I don't have no new authors back here.
I will.
I just realized that I don't have no new authors back here.
Okay, you'll get one. Both of you will get one soon.
Okay, good. Yeah, yours will end up in the library. Here's next to his old.
It'll stay back there.
Grandpa.
Yeah,
That's his grandpa behind him there.
that's right. I leave them up there forever until like they get replaced by usually they're up there for several months. So you see, Death of a Taxman's still back there. It's still hanging out back there. Well, you can't see it on camera right now, but it's back there. It's the reason it's there is because it's my personal copy, but it's back there. And then there's an assortment of other books back there as well.
Yep,
And then
that's another book by a recent Writers of the Future winner. So.
Yeah. It's kind of funny, but yeah, be sure to check it out, guys. I mean, there's lots of stuff out there to read. I encourage everyone to go by and get all the books. I mean, I've been to 5 years worth of them. They've all been all the things been good. And then I've read back about somewhere around book 26 or 25 somewhere. They're not, you can't get them all. But these are the ones I got off of John's site over at galaxypress.com. So, you can get them over there. I think we lost John. He got the aliens have probed him. That's what happens when you live in LA, man. You get probed from time to time. The aliens swing by and say, hey, I just want to write a Futures guys. Let's bring him up here and give him a good probing. What's that, Shalee? No, they're both winners of Writers of the Future. Yeah, both of them.
Yeah. Good. Well, I'm going to sign off before the aliens try to probe me.
Be good, man.
Take it easy, Lance.
Be good. That was kind of weird there we had going on there. Hold on, I'll grab John. I just heard him bloop back in there. I know I heard the bloop. And there's what's up? Something got you. We were talking about the aliens were probing you, man. We were like, what happened here? What happened here? So I mean, Mar, you get down there, you're in LA, you're with all these people around you. I mean, first off, you got all the crazies that live in LA and running around in Hollywood. They got down there, and then you've got all these new people that you're getting to meet. And then all of these judges. I remember the first time I met some of these judges, and we were sitting there, and I had talked to them enough that when I seen somebody who was, standing in the way, I'd walk them over there and introduce them to them. But it's always funny to me to watch these judges, that, oh, we'll go to lunch. You want to come with us? That's above and beyond. I mean, this is the guys going to lunch. Well, what was it? Kevin invited them all to his birthday at the pizza place. I was laughing my ass off. And that's to me, that's above and beyond. I mean, it's sitting having conversations in a nice, relaxed atmosphere. It's not a classroom. It's just sitting there chatting, and you get some good food, and you get to talk to someone who may actually help change your career. So
that was definitely a highlight. Was in the lobby just hanging out with Tim Powers and Robert J. Sawyer, who were just talking about the craziest things from the past, including you in the conversation. I'm like, this is like a dream you would have, not something that happened in real life. That was phenomenal.
It's and the thing of it is, I think they love it just as much as y'all do.
They do. And the thing is also, like with Rob Sawyer, he entered the contest, many times before proing out, before disqualifying himself. Kevin Anderson entered, I think, 17, 19 times or something like that, and then he proed out. So they were where you are, 15, 20 years ago, 25 years ago. So it's not like an unreal thing for them. It's like part of their journey to where they are right now as Writers of the Future. So they're investing in the future thems.
Yeah.
So anticipating that you're going to be like them. At some point down the road, you're going to be another Scott Card or another Tim Powers or something like that.
That's a dream.
Yeah, it was for them. It was that way too. For them, they were looking at, Hubbard or Heinlein, and that's, you take a look at our earlier judges there, where you have, the guy that wrote Dune. I mean, he's, for crying out loud, he was one of the first judges. Anne McCaffrey, she was one of the first judges. These are like icons. I remember Brandon Sanderson. He was like, he's like the top of the game right now.
Yeah.
And I remember when we played the Advice from a Master, we did the Anne McCaffrey interview that we played, and he was just like transfixed watching it, And so these are the people these are the shoulders that we're building on top of, and how many more decades I want to be connected with it, but I've been involved since year 2, and but another 10 years down the road, you keep on doing what you're doing there, you're going to be one of those people, because I put feelers on different winners, who are in there, who's really working it, who's there, who has the mindset of playing it forward too. So Nydia Okorafor, I was in touch. She was special. She was in volume 19. I just stayed in touch with her, and just because she was I really liked her a lot, and so I just stayed in touch, and we just, as she continued to grow and grow and grow, I was one of those guys that connected up with her once she was famous. We just, every time she go to Comic-Con, I'd invite her, we'd have lunch and just talk, how's it going, what about this? And, track the career with her daughter as a baby. And now she's like this beautiful, tall, young woman. Yep. And just working with her. So now she's a great friend, and she's a judge, so there's other people I'm keeping my feelers on just to see how they're going, just to track them. And I know for both writers and illustrators, there's people that are like, okay, good, let's follow their careers, because you're the ones that are most likely to carry forward that torch of Writers of the Future, because it's now with 10,000 entries a year, we have a lot of bandwidth of writers. We cross many spectrums of writing styles, a lot of ethnics, a lot of religions, a lot of everything else, so that we provide a very good cross section. So it's great. Just a matter now of just seeing who sticks with it, who's going to really go forward. And then once they go forward, not everybody gets asked, because you take a look at, they're not into helping other writers. They're kind of like into their own thing, which is fine. It's just not judge material. So all those things we take into account, and then I'll make the ask. And sometimes it takes going back and forth a few times to handle, because so busy with their careers, but it's it's an important legacy that continues forth that L. Ron Hubbard started back in 1983, and we're trying to be as true and sincere to that, to what he postulated, what he conceived of, 40 plus years ago now, to keep on paying it forward. And as long as we stay ahead of the AI curve, we're good.
And that's the truth.
Yep.
Yeah, it's weird we didn't get any AI questions tonight. Oh, just because I said it don't mean y'all got to start sending them. It is weird though, because lately I get all kind of questions about it. More so lately, though, I've been getting more questions about AI when it comes to artwork than when it comes to writing. There's just, AI can do a short story, okay. I've seen them do comic books, okay, but any kind of novel, I think it somewhere along the line it just becomes jibber jabber. It just gets. I think it gets lost in its own word salad somewhere along the line. But I have noticed though, for the artists, the hands have been getting a little better, the feet have been getting a little better. That was one of the big tell signs of AI, was the way it did hands and noses and feet. It's getting better. Eventually,
there's still apps though that you can use to be able to see if it was AI generated art too.
Well, it should have, by law, they should have to tell you that it's been AI generated.
Yeah.
Which eventually Congress will get around to eventually, because if not, they can say that was somebody else's artwork, or oh no, it was AI generated. And Carly, right now you can't copyright AI. No, sorry. No, you can use it. Matter of fact, I have pieces on my computer that one of the Writers of the Futures winners did for me, Jeff Weiner. He was one of the first persons I ever talked about this with, and he generated a couple pieces. I still use one of the banners for one of my other shows, even today. It's a good banner. It came out really nice. But yeah, what bites about that is I would have paid somebody to do that banner. Instead, they did it for free. That is a good banner. And it took all of about 8 seconds. It's hard to beat that kind of stuff. But it's still not original artwork. And since I'm a big freak of oils, we never have to worry about it.
Well, the main thing is that banner came from somebody else's art.
Oh, yeah,
banner came from somebody else's art, because
it did.
So it's like the computer created nothing. It scraped what was there. The prompts were to come out.
When you look at the house, you can tell this is a designed house out of the 50s somewhere. When you look at the car, and this is all pieces that it just took from different places and different times and stuck them together. It did a good job sticking them together, mind you, but it's still it's nothing. It's nothing original in it. And you can look at it and tell.
Right, computer cannot create.
So the reason we don't get in trouble for using it is because it's like 8 different pieces put into one piece. So it's still original art as far as the law is concerned. No, people, it's not original art in the way you're thinking. It's original art as far as the law is concerned. It's not original art because it's not all new. It's a bunch of shit thrown together. So we had a couple pieces.
I'm curious
that are really
here. How was the computer? How was AI addressed in your? You did 6 weeks of a writing workshop. Did it come up at all?
No, it was blissfully not mentioned. Which I'm not a huge AI guy, so I was happy not to hear about it. I don't think anyone mentioned it. No one used it, as far as I know. No one talked about it.
Good.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's one of those things that and I've talked with I've actually talked with 2 gaming companies now about this, and the one down here in New Orleans working out of what they like to call Silicon Bayou. They're keeping they're going to be using AI. They said they will be using it too, but not for designing. So what they're going to do is they've got all their illustrators and all their writers. So the writer's going to go out and write the story. The illustrator's going to go out and design all the work, and then they're going to give it to AI to mass produce. So instead of where it would take a gaming company 5 years to make one, now it'll do it in about 1.5 years. So that way nobody's losing their jobs. Everybody's still keeping their jobs. The company's going to matter of fact, the video game will be cheaper now because it won't have that 3 years of all those people being used to make it. It's a win-win-win for everybody, actually. So that's a good thing there. It's the companies I worry about are the ones that are just going to say, okay, AI is going to generate all of our stuff from this point forward. They'll end up bankrupt because I just don't think long term AI is ready to be out there on its own. What's that, Clara? Well, AI is everywhere now. We're not when we talk about AI, we're talking about in the art world for writers and for artists. but there's AI already everywhere. It's in when you go to the grocery store. Matter of fact, they're making Lowe's is buying this system so that the AI can watch to see if you're stealing on your self checkout. So I don't know, we'll see how it works. We'll see
Oh
how
yeah,
it
one
works.
thing on your crawler at the bottom there, Joe, you can put it's no longer Steve, it's Amir Agora.
Oh yeah, I didn't change it. Let
You got-
me change.
Yeah,
I got to
there was
change the
Steve
titles
Bentley,
when
too.
we get when we get done. I got to change the titles. Let's see, banners.
Yeah.
What's that, Michael? Why you want to know how old he is? He looks like
25.
he's a baby. See, you saying he's 40, man. I was like, where the hell did you? I'm like, where'd you get 40 from? No, really, it's just. Yeah, I know it's Saturday. And y'all must be having fun Saturday or something. Yes, I know. Huh? Why? Why? Are you like interested in something? You're asking a lot of questions here that I have no idea. You know, write to the man at his website and ask him those questions. I'm not going to ask him. So, but all I can tell you is right there and ask. The show that came on before this one was a professional with Echo Chernick. Yes, go check her out. Yeah, Echo is great. Echo's a lot of fun. She's one of my favorite judges. Yes,
Very nice.
yes, she's very ADD. She's very hyper. No, she's a lot of fun. No, she is. She's a great artist. And I like it even more because she does oils, and she knows I'm a big fan of oil. Well, you can go check her out. She's on before the show, and then her websites are all available. Yeah, just check her out and look for her. She's one of the judges.
So Amir, what project are you working? So I'm just kidding. Amir, what project are you working on now?
I'm between two right now. I just got back from that Clarion, so I have a bunch of short stories sitting on my hard drive. So I'm about to edit those over and then send them out. So I'm in editing mode, which is I think is the fun part about writing is rewriting. Once you have a draft, I feel all the pressure come off me. So I'm excited about that. And I'm finishing up some TV stuff. I work in kids TV, so I'm finishing up a script there. We're almost done with our season, and then I get a little bit break, which I'm looking forward to.
Well, what kind of kid stuff you do?
I work two of the shows
If
haven't
get
come
you
out
in
yet.
trouble, don't you? I was gonna say if it don't get you in trouble, don't say nothing. But you know.
No, but I wrote for Paw Patrol that came out already. I spent some time at Sesame Workshop where I did some kid stuff there, and I'm just finishing up at NBC right now, on two little kid shows over there, animated. It's a lot of fun. I love it, and a lot of the things I learned from Writers of the Future transfer for screenwriting. So if anyone's interested in like writing for television, everything about character, everything about how to develop a story, they go hand in hand with script writing. So I thought it was really useful. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I mean, how'd you find? I mean, so you like working for who owns Sesame now? PBS.
Sesame is just Sesame Workshop. I like they're the nicest people. I've been super lucky to fall into rooms of people who are serious about writing and who are really kind. Like Sesame Workshop is really kind people who want to get the best stuff out there and make work that matters. Like Writers of the Future is the same way, just in a different genre. Just people who are really interested in developing new talent and getting these new voices out there. And so I love it. I love Sesame. The people are kind. The writing's fun. I always loved writing. And so I like science fiction is kind of my home, and then screenwriting is my job, which I love, but I love jumping back and forth.
Yeah, well, hey, if you enjoy it and you make money,
how'd you get into that?
Way to be.
Screenwriting?
How'd you get into that?
Yeah, COVID hit, and it was awful, but it was great for me because I was quarantined in a basement by myself, and I knew I wanted to write. I wanted to be a writer really badly, and I thought I'm gonna write one screenplay. I've never written one before, so I would just copy screenplays like Breaking Bad. I wrote the whole thing out word for word because I wanted to feel the words under my fingers. And then once I felt confident I could like at least format it, I wrote my own script, and it was about a child refugee from Yemen getting whisked away to a magical school to save his brother. And I submitted it to Sesame, and there's a competition. I was one of the winners, and they took me under their wing. And I think I was there for a few months as a fellow, and then I went to NBC, and I did Nickelodeon while I was there. Yeah, so it's just luck and a lot of writing, a lot of practicing the craft. And I fully agree that like people are like, oh, screenwriting's over here, short stories over here, novels over there. That's not been my experience. It's all here. It's all story, just different mediums, but it's always the same. It's character, it's good themes, it's passion. And if you have that, you can go anywhere you like. Just, a good story is what really matters, in my opinion. Yeah.
We hear that, guys?
That's great too. How you went in and you dug into your passion for story, just going and just emulate, and then you're able to do on your own. It's like, this was the winner that analyzed all the recent books in Brook. He did an Excel grid of all the different things, and then with that, okay, these what they all have in common. So he took that, he slept on it, and then he wrote this. And he woke up and here's my story, and he wrote it, and submitted it, and he won with it. But it's just like that passion of just like, I'm going to absorb and become this thing here, and just really said like that right there.
Yeah. Was that James? Was that James Davies or no?
Yeah, that was right. It's James Davies, right?
I could just tell because that's so James. He's that kind of guy to really get in there. He's a great writer. Yeah. And I still in contact with James and a few other Writers of the Future people. We that relationship that we built at Writers of the Future has carried on. So I met with them on Zoom. We talk about writing. We share works with each other. I think that's another big plus of Writers of the Future. The community, if you wanted to, can follow you afterwards.
Yeah, I've done these interviews on the podcast, and I've gone back all the way to volume 1, and the winners from each year are still in touch with each other. It's like amazing.
Yeah,
that's good fellowship, though. I mean, almost everybody I've talked to over there feels that. Some before, some after, some still going on today. It's got to help, especially when you can give you can let somebody read something that you need read, and you know that they're actually know what the hell they're reading.
Right.
You're like, well, you giving it to your mom or your dad's always cute, but are they going to be biased? Yes, more than likely. Oh, my son wrote this. It's so great. And it might actually be great, but you don't really know that until you let somebody else read it.
It's
serious.
Definitely.
Find your most critical friend and give it to them. And if they say you like it, you probably got some, man.
Yeah. And it's nice coming up with the writers. I just saw Lance and get published. And I'm like, I know that person. I got to, flex and say, I know him. I knew him before. He was a big name. So it's nice to see people that you're coming up with come up with you, which I think you can put a price on. Yeah.
That's exactly right.
You never know when y'all might get a chance to work together.
Sure.
It's
What's your end game? What do you envision as your end game, Amir?
I have a dream, certainly, which is I'm really shooting my shot. This is like end game would be to stay as a screenwriter as a job, maybe get my own show, but then write my novels on the side, novels or short stories. That's my end game. That just a job where I'm constantly writing is like my dream. I love it. I love stories. I just love being in that space.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There's lots of shows to write for, and then there's lots of people looking for shows. So, I mean, every time I turn around, Netflix is looking, Hulu's looking, and they're looking. So they're willing to. I mean, if you do a good screenplay, a good screenwriting, send it to them.
Yeah,
it's a good chance you might get it because they got so much time to fill.
It's true.
I mean, and it's not even that, and they could have probably got away with a lot longer, but COVID screwed everybody because everybody maxed out watching TV until they couldn't watch TV anymore. So now they're looking for new stuff, stuff that jumps out.
Well, now reality TV just took it in the shorts, so that just now kind of made your below delivered to them. So now they're even more dealing with content search.
Yeah, I think people are looking for good TV too now, more than ever.
Yeah, you really need good TV because Disney got its ass in trouble with a bunch of garbage that they put out. What's that, Jenny? I know I like Disney. I'm not hating on Disney, but unfortunately for Disney, recently they've put out less than what they usually do. How's that? Yes. Yeah.
Well, they switched from they took their attention off story and put it onto agenda, and that's the main problem with them. I think is they just went agenda and not like you were saying before. If you can tell a good story, which is what I think is important in movies and TV, and not trying to push your agenda.
What's that, Michael? They're more worried about how you identify. Well, maybe so, but Disney will get back to Disney. Disney's all about making money anyway. So eventually, they're feeling a crunch right now from some shady stuff they've done. And then the money will get them. Well, the last time they did something stupid like that, they just fired the woman and everybody around her. So eventually Disney, you got to give them time. They think they're doing right. I'm not going to hate on them. They'll figure it out. No, I didn't watch. You know why I didn't watch that Star Wars movie? What is it, Taglyan? No, because everybody I know who said it Not good. And that's all I'm going to say. I haven't seen it, so I can't judge it. I'm just telling you what everybody I know who's seen it said. And my son's like one of the biggest Star Wars freaks on the planet. He's like, Dad, it was horrible. Wait, how can it be horrible? He said, first off, there was no Star Wars lore was all over the place. They took a lot of liberties from what I hear. Well, as some of the other places are finding out, liberties are not safe things to take now. People like genre for a reason, so it's not that. But I mean, Amir, there's lots of stuff. I mean, there's so much stuff you can write about these days. You know,
Yeah.
and make a decent series because we need some good series. Now, come on, you only got to have 8 episodes now. Come the hell on, man. When I was growing up, you had to have at least 25.
Yeah.
8 episodes. What the hell is that?
I know, but I'm looking forward to some good sci-fi TV. I think it's coming. Like Robert J. Sawyer had TV. His show was great.
Yeah.
So I
There's
think
a lot
we're
of
gonna come
good
back
TV.
on that. Yeah.
And then that the fact that you know how to write for kids, there's a lot of money in writing for kids. So, you know, if you get, well, you got to get your own series, man. You can't.
Yeah. That's the hard part. Is getting your
If
own
you're just
series.
writing with a handful of other writers, now the money's not all that great. But
Right. But I'm happy where I am. I'm paying my dues right now, and I'm learning a lot.
yeah.
So I'm in that learning phase where I love all the opportunities I'm getting. I'm really.
I like the idea that you're doing. I mean, I think screenplays are a great way to go. I mean, you can make the money to take care of yourself and let you write your novels in the time you want to write. Plus, you might get some ideas about novels from stuff you're writing for other things.
Yeah.
What's that, Gene? Wait, Gene wants to. Where are you from, Gene? Before I ask this question. Oh, no, okay, you're a Canuck. That's cool. We got lots of Canucks that listen to the station. Gene's from Montreal. Wait, repeat that because that looks more like jibber jabber since you rewrote it. Yeah, rewrite it. No, just rewrite it. And Janine just wants to know basically why is there so much repeat, and do you think you can write stuff that won't be of somebody's already written, but just in a different way? Is that what you mean, Janine? I know what you mean. You just poorly worded. Yes.
You say how can you be original because there's so much stuff out there?
Yeah, she's just wanting to know how do you put yourself in that thought mode to get yourself away, because we all know this. We all watch a lot of stuff and listen to a lot, so we know there's a lot of influences. But she's wanting to know, is there a way for you to just pull yourself away from that and really look at something that would be more unique? I doubt anything can be 100% unique, but you know.
Yeah, but I think the thing that you bring that is unique, I think a lot of our favorite stories have very simple, like they're in genre, they're paying homage to something very real.
Yeah.
What people come back to is voice. Like if you can say in an interesting way with characters that are uniquely yours, I think people respond to that. Like, you know, people watch Ocean's 11. It's the same thing every time, but you're there for
Yes,
the
it
characters
is.
and how they're written and the dynamics you're building, and that's fresh. I think that's forever green. It's like good story with good characters, because I think story is character. So as long as you're telling those kind of stories in a voice that's uniquely yours, I don't think you can go wrong. And you can subvert tropes once you get the handle of the genre you're in. That helps too. But I don't worry about that too much, being original, because if you're writing in your voice, it's going to be original. It's only one you. Yeah.
Yes. Jess said you should write about vampires.
Right. Yeah.
No, Jess, no, don't take this the wrong way, but there's a lot of vampire stuff out there. What are you talking about? Oh, you're talking about Life Force. Yes. That was an energy vampire, by the way.
Mm.
And that was another one they walked around half the movie naked. Yes, people. I mean, come on. No, I understand. No, it was. We'll just say it was okay and leave it at that. How's that? So now they're on the vampire thing. Look, y'all. The man wouldn't write about vampires. What do you mean? Fairy butterflies. I'm sorry, man. These people are smoking crack or something.
No, that's Brandon Mull. Brandon Mull. He was a guest a couple years ago. He's got his series. We're in this. Have you read any of his stuff, Amir?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, he writes children's books in YA, and super nice guy from Utah. Another Utah writer. They're just a wonderfully nice guy. He'll be at FanX, and but you're talking about the fairy butterflies. There's fairies, all types of fantasy creatures he's got in his stories there. But do you ever go to conventions?
Me?
Yeah.
No, not. I'm planning to go to ICFA in March. Is that I haven't yet, but I'm planning on starting to go. Yeah, once my work slows down, because I want to keep in contact. There's too many writers of the future people I haven't seen in a while. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's a lot of guys. Where are you from originally?
I'm from Connecticut, New York. I'm on the border.
Okay. So yeah, so there's a lot of the guys go to Atlanta, and we have a lot of people that go to Salt Lake City, the FanX there.
Yeah.
And then there's also a lot of winners and a lot of people that write that go to Superstars. That's that conference that Kevin Anderson and Brandon Sanderson and several other writers featured judges created. And that's a real fun. I go there too. And then there's LTUE in Provo, Utah, Live to Universe and Everything. And that's another fun one. And then Joe will be going to Atlanta in a couple weeks.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll be a drag cut. I wanted to come see him in Tampa, but I don't think I can get away from work. It looked like I was going to get away, but something else came up. So
yeah,
life can be a pain, but
life can be life.
Yes, that's what's that, Jackie? Something about what do you mean something about little green men? Like, you mean aliens are literally about little green men? What are you talking about? Oh, you want to get? Oh, she says you should get with Elon Musk and do a series on Mars.
I'm sure Elon could afford it.
Well, in all fairness, there is a series called Mars that Elon Musk is actually in. And it's a series about going to Mars and colonizing Mars. It's a two-year series. And what they do in the series is, during the series, while they're doing the thing, it'll stop for a minute or two, and it'll cut to like real scientists talking about how this is going to actually work, or Elon talking about how we're going to get there. And yes, Jesse, it is funny that Elon's going to have to go save them Boeing astronauts. I'm sorry, that was mean on my part. I had a bet on that. I told you that crappy spacecraft wasn't going to be able to go back and get them. Because, look, all I know is Jeff Bezos and our boy Elon make much better spacecraft than Boeing or NASA ever did. I don't know what to tell y'all. And the better, fast, you remember NASA used to say better, faster, cheaper? Well, guess what? Elon figured out how to do it.
It's interesting. There's that series. I don't know if you've ever read it, but it was written in like the 40s. Hubbard did it. It was like these various stories about. It's called Conquest of Space, and it was in back in the Golden Age, and what he said, there was the U.S. government kept on failing on creating their space programs, so it was actually private enterprises would actually conquer space. It was these guys there that went out. They were entrepreneurs. They wanted to go out there. They wanted to mine space. They saw money in space. They saw, the future was in space, and they weren't caught up in whatever that the government gets caught up in. So they're the ones that actually conquered space. So I think of like Jeff Bezos and Elon, more so Elon Musk. They're the ones that are making these inroads that we're actually going to conquer space.
They're going to change the universe, or at least our universe.
Yeah.
I've been bitching for 30 years, actually 35 years, that look, if you want to really see space get colonized, turn it over to private industry. And I mean, Elon's done in less than 8 years what NASA still hasn't done. Any matter of fact, no government on the planet's been able to land a spaceship and catch it. We landed the shuttle. That's not quite the same thing. He sends them up, brings them back, and catches them, parks them. He can catch one and land the other one. I mean, NASA still can't figure out how to do that. Matter of fact, they asked somebody in China the other day, when do you think that's going to happen? Oh, it'll be a decade at least, maybe longer. It's all because it's private industry, and they have to make a profit, so they have to do things right. They can't just keep spending taxpayers' money because they got to account for their money, so they need to make a profit. And Elon now runs the biggest heavy lift thing in the world, so everybody goes to him.
Yeah.
So Jeff's in the business, and then there's Virgin Airlines. Is that who it is? Virgin Airlines has their version of it. Yeah, that's for like me and Amar and John. We can catch a ride into space, hop in a plane, catch a ride into space, go for a couple of orbits, and then come back and land at one of the spaceports. Yes. I'm ready. What are you talking about? I'm ready to go to Mars. I'm bored.
Yeah, Mr. Gottbuxer, why don't you buy a ticket for me too? If you buy
Well,
one,
I'm,
get
I'm hoping. I'm hoping
buy one
because
for many dollars for
we're
the second one
media.
for 50%.
We're gonna. I'm hoping because we're media, we're gonna get a free one. But maybe we could take out the goods on Elon's woman. It's what's that, Christopher? No, seriously though, people. Virgin Airlines will be running what they call tour space. Bezos is talking about it, but Bezos can like what 4 people in a capsule. That's not really good tourism. Japan's going to build 2 stations, one in space, one on the moon. They're going to build a hotel on the moon. I'm sorry. Yes. So while all this is going on, my only request is that I don't care what we put on the moon. It just needs to be on the other side of the moon where we can't see it. I don't want to really go out and look at my pretty moon with your woman and look up and see a bunch of lights up there flickering and flashing and beeping and spacecraft coming back. It just it takes something away from the moon, people.
So
I'm just it's not romantic anymore. It'll be just some.
yeah, you're missing romance. I forgot. Sorry.
Hey, I'm just saying, some things there should be thought about ahead of time. What's that, Chris? We got to go. Give them where they can find you, Amar. Tell them where they can get to you, what you're up to, and how they can get in touch with you.
Sure. It's Amir Agora. It's just my name, www.amiragora.com. And the same thing. I'm the only Amir Agora in the world, so type in my name.
There you go,
man.
man.
Yep. Got to be unique.
Well, that helps out for the search engines, man. Look.
No kidding. It's just me and my family. That last name I think is made up, so it's just us. Just me and Amir Agora.
Agora, that's a cool last name. I like it.
It is.
It's a cool last name. What's that, Johnny? No, he just gave it to you. Well, I noticed a lot of the authors use their full name. Well, some of them use pen names, but some of them use real names.
Yeah.
Well, it's like you've heard us talk about this, and I know he's seen this himself. So one of the things they make you do while you're there, because you got to sign books and stuff, they make you sign your books with a different signature, your artist signature versus your real signature. Well, because you don't want to give everybody so they can trace your signature and go empty your checking account or something, or your savings account or whatever account you may have. No, but we get ready to go. Yeah, we should have catch John next week while he's in Tampa.
Yeah.
Anywhere you're going to be, Mr. O'Gore? Anywhere close by or?
No, not yet.
Going to Dragon Con? Dragon Con's not that far. It's Atlanta.
I might be in ICFA in March.
Where do you stay at? What part of the country you're in, I should say?
I'm on the East Coast. I'm in New York.
Oh, you see, Atlanta's right there, man. It's only like 5 hours from New York.
I got work. I'll try though. Next year I'll be there.
Yeah, I understand the work part. You don't give him a good gig, man, for a conference. No.
Right.
There'll be some cool people at the Dragon Con.
I'll be there eventually, certainly.
A lot of them too, man. There's a lot of them going.
That's everywhere.
That's just so you know. Well, guys and girls, we got to get out of here. We're already past our time. I hope everybody enjoyed the Authors Quill. That's like I said, go visit John in Tampa. As soon as once we find out where everybody's going to be at, we'll let you know. What do you mean you book sign? He was just signing books today. Y'all missed him. Well, next time he gets to signing books, I'll tell him to send me it a couple of days ahead of time, or I'll put it out over the air for y'all. Okay.
Sounds good.
Yes. Well, I'm with you. All my books are signed. Yeah, I think you should always get your book signed if you can. The difference for y'all is y'all got to go around and find it individually. I just happened to have been there that day. Yes, the signature's in here somewhere. Yes, it is. It's in this book right here somewhere. Twice. And who did your artwork? I wanted to ask you that and I forgot before we go.
Do I have my book on me? No, I don't have my book on me. My Connor Chamberlain did my artwork from New Zealand, and he did a phenomenal job. It's a gorgeous piece. I was blown away.
Maybe I got it. Let me see if I can find it right quick.
And it's one of those pieces I think that once you read it, like you read the story, the artwork is twice as powerful, which is incredible. It's something I think is really hard to pull off, and he did it in spades. So I really love that.
So did you recognize it right off the bat, or?
Oh yeah, 100%. And if you look in the middle, he plays with color and he plays with the composition to tell a story within the art, and that's like so masterful. I had an idea of what he was going to do, and he blew it out of the water 1,000,000%. He's a phenomenal artist.
He did a really good job of your story.
Yeah, it is very cool.
He's going to be doing covers of books. He's going to be a name.
If I can squeeze it in here.
Yeah,
where y'all can actually see it somewhat.
That
the
when you
light
get in
here.
the arrow there, in between with that pop of color.
Right over here, right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. The lightness in my studio is not that good because if I don't, it makes too much reverb. I mean, too much light back bounce. But you can get the book. That'd be a better way of seeing it. You know, I mean, I can put it right up there like that, guys, but that's not going to help y'all.
Amen.
Yeah, the easiest way is just to buy the book so you can see it
Yes.
and read
Yeah.
the story.
Yes.
That is a
You can
wolf
get it on
behind.
Amazon.com. You
Yes.
can get it at GalaxyPress.com. You can get it if you're wherever you are. It's available in South Africa, in Australia, in New Zealand, in Canada, UK, and obviously in the United States.
Yes,
Where
I
you
go out there and
find
get it.
books.
Yes, Janine, there was a wolf behind you. Go buy the book. You can get it anywhere. Yeah.
Yep.
And if you're lazy like most Americans are today, get on your computer, Amazon, GalaxyPress.com, hit order, pay, you're done. Take all about 4 minutes. 2 days later, it's at your house. I gotta say, people, and there's one thing I do like about having Amazon around these days. I have gotten stuff in the same day before. That's freaking amazing. Second day all the time.
Yeah.
Gotta give Jeff a big hug for that. You know, I don't care what his politics are. The man does a good job. As long as he keeps bringing me good entertainment. Hey, look, he kept the Expanse alive, so he's already on my good list. Yes, he did. He's on my good list. But we got to go. Amar, thank you for bringing out. John, hanging out. Guys and girls, we're going to get out of here. No more live broadcasting today. You've got any reruns coming up that's going to be running this afternoon. And of course, you got the crew tomorrow. You can go get in trouble with them. Oh, yes, they're a bunch of troublemakers on Sunday, especially that Sean Patrick Hazlitt guy. Oh, my God. John said, you got to take this guy on. He's been in trouble ever since we got him, man. Shh. Yeah, he's a good host. We'll give y'all trouble. He's got a lot of good books out, too. But anyway, we got to go and thank everyone again for tuning in to United Public Radio and the Author's Quill. Until next Saturday, have some fun. Enjoy your life. Get out there. And from our friends in Australia, happy effing Sunday. Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for having me.